Whoever created space, time, and matter would have to be outside of space, time, and matter, and would have to be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. To me, that points to God. Does God exist? Who hasn't asked themselves that question at least once in their lifetime? I think it's been asked by all of mankind throughout the ages, for sure, if God exists or not. I'm a Christian. I believe in the person and the work of Jesus Christ. I believe that God created everything. I think it's the best explanation for everything that is out there. But what if you, perhaps, or someone you know, perhaps, don't believe that God exists? Well, a great place to start is with the cosmological argument. It's scientific, and it's all about beginnings. Speaking of beginnings, let's talk about the beginning. And I believe that the Big Bang is and was the biblical beginning of the universe. I believe that space, time, and matter, their origin was at the Big Bang. Again, back to Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And later in the Bible, it talks about how God actually breathed it out. That would be a really, really big bang. And some people I know like to say that would require a really big banger. So the Big Bang is the beginning. And if a beginning happened, that means there has to be a cause. That's a law of causality. Anything that had a beginning had to have had a cause. Makes sense, right? So let's look at it. Did nothing make something out of nothing, or did someone or something make something out of nothing? So we're going to look at the cosmological argument. The first one, evidence that we're going to show and talk about is going to be the Second Law of Thermodynamics. Second Law of Thermodynamics implies that the universe is actually running out of energy. Sounds a little scary, but probably not going to happen in our lifetime. So it's running out of energy. If it's running out of energy, that means it's probably not infinite. It's probably finite. If it's finite, that means it had a beginning. Because if it was infinite and the universe is running out of energy, that means that it would have already ran out of energy by now. But here we are. I see us. I see us here right now, and we actually are still alive, and the universe has not collapsed back into itself or anything like that. So obviously, the universe is finite. Philosophically speaking, if the universe were infinite, we would never get to today, because there'd always be an infinite number of days prior to today. But again, here we are. So that means that the universe is finite and not infinite, because we actually reached to today. The second evidence for the universe having a beginning is the universe is expanding. Edwin Hubble, the guy with the telescope, back in the early 1900s, actually saw the universe expanding with his very own eyeballs. I kid you not. And if the universe is expanding, then that means that it must have had a beginning, because if you were to reverse time, it would go back to a singular point of nothing. Radiation afterglow. This is the afterglow from the Big Bang. Pretty interesting story. In 1965 or so, Penzias and Wilson, they were a couple of guys from Bell Laboratories. They had this antenna that they developed, and it came up with this noise. There was a constant noise, and they couldn't get rid of it. Well, some other scientists actually pointed out to them that conceptually, that if the Big Bang actually happened, there would be some radiation afterglow from it. And turns out that's exactly what they discovered. Our fourth argument for the beginning of the cosmos, great galaxy seeds. These are the temperature ripples from cosmic singularity. In other words, from the Big Bang. These are very large structures. In fact, the largest structures ever measured. They're 60 billion trillion miles wide. I want to give you a couple of quotes from a few scientists and what they said when this actually happened. George Smoot said, "If you're religious, it's like looking at the machining marks of the maker, his very fingerprints." Hawking, Stephen, you know, the really smart guy, this is the century's greatest discovery. An astrophysicist, Michael Turner, said, "They have found the holy grail of cosmology." And last but not least, we've got Albert Einstein. In 1916, Albert Einstein came out with his theory of general relativity. that showed that space, time, and matter actually had a beginning. He didn't like the implications of his discovery, so he actually kind of sabotaged his theory. He divided it by 0, making it inconclusive. Kind of amazing, but true. In 1919, cosmologist Arthur Eddington actually proved to 5 decimal points, I might add, during a solar eclipse that, yeah, Einstein got it right, that the universe actually had a beginning. And if it had a beginning, it had to have had a cause. Honestly, Eddington, he didn't even like it either. He did not like the implications. He wanted any other discovery that he could find out. He did not want to prove that the universe had a beginning, but it did. Here's what happened. In 1929, Einstein takes off to Mount Wilson, California, and he hangs out with Hubble, and he sees observational evidence. In other words, with his own eyeballs, he sees the universe expanding. And all Einstein wants to know now is why God created. So let's go back to that initial question. What's more plausible? Did nothing create something out of nothing, or did someone or something create something out of nothing? I think you have to look at that. I think it's a strong argument for a beginning. Again, the law of causality. If something had a beginning, it had to have had a cause. Space, time, and matter cannot create itself. Whoever created space, time, and matter would have to be outside of space, time, and matter, and would have to be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. To me, that points to God. It points me to Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God doesn't exist. We can live our lives like it's 1999. Yeah, everybody thought the world was going to end in 2000. It was a thing. But I believe the cosmological argument and other arguments show that God actually does exist. A beginner, a cause maker, the unmoved mover, the entity, the God outside of space, time, and matter actually exists. If you're a skeptic, I don't care what spectrum you're under, atheism, Darwinism, you're a naturalist, whatever it is, I'm praying for you. You come to know the one and only true God of the Bible. For Distorted Me, I'm Mark.